Hello, this is Cotton Stoops, and today's HTUC video is on Mutagon. One of the most pointless videos that I'm gonna be making because Mutagon is an Uber. Why am I promoting it? This means more Mutagons will be in the freaking Coliseum! Anyways, Mutagon is really good because of its really strong coverage, its setup. You know why it's good already, so I'll just get straight to the video. In this video, you're gonna be learning everything you need to know on how to use and counter Mutagon. From the counters and checks that you have to be worried about, the sets, the roles that you have to be using with Mutagon, and of course the weaknesses and resistances so you can stay on top of the opponents. Today's video is all about Mutagon. So the first question we must ask is the role that Mutagon plays, and this is a very easy question to answer because of the base stats. The base stats are really simple because its only bad stats are its range attack and range defense. 78 range attack is 2 base stats lower than Gobidemic, which basically doesn't hit for anything, and its range defense of 63 is on par with some range attacking Lumians or melee walls that are really weak to range attackers. So in your best interest, do not switch in any range attackers. However, you do have some good HP, energy, and speed. The HP is decent, but it is not enough to keep your range defense high enough, and that energy of 123 is really high, which lets Mutagon run a lot of moves and use them for long periods of time. And that speed tier of 71 might not look great, but it does outspeed most of the walls at 0 speed. And finally, its melee and attack and defense is really great, both being above 100. 104 melee attack is above Borok, but because of the setup and coverage it has, it's actually a lot more higher than that. And 114 melee defense, while it is lower than previously, it is still pretty good, and it's a good base stat to have. So, what role does Mutagon play? Mutagon can be a strong and bulky Lumian, and of course it is a powerful wall breaker. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about Mutagon's weaknesses and resistances. Mutagon's typing to Brawler and Mind is really simple because it only has 3 resistances to Light, Ice, and Brawler. Light types like Valkyrie, Celesting, Namari, and Luminami are some great light types to switch in on. However, most of them will be carrying Flash and Flee, so it's not really the best to be switching in on them. Ice types like Tundulin, Wintrix, Himber, Barbadger is also pretty good to switch in on, and Brawler types, specifically C.B.O and Barbadger, are good Brawler types to switch in on. And fun fact, you kind of do soft check Barbadger even more so with your tank ability, which is pretty nice. And you do have 3 weaknesses to Dark, Air, Toxic, and a 4 times resist or 4 times weakness to Spirit. Spirit types are going to be your main enemy, and while you do hit them back really hard and you do have enough bulk to survive most of them, range attacking Spirit types are not the best. This goes for all the typings listed here. Dark types like Vesperatu and Eclipse will give you some trouble. Air types, while not a lot, do give you trouble. I guess you do have to watch out for Wintrix and the Gargolems. And toxic types, usually you do hit them back super effectively, but if you do have to be worried about them, Gobidemic is a toxic type that you have to worry about. So with that out of the way, let's talk about Mutagon's sets. Mutagon's set is going to be very simple with the ability Tank or Heavy Fists. Pretty much any ability is good, but if I were me, I would go for Heavy Fists, mainly because Mutagon can hit a lot more harder than that, and since 104 melee attack is not really the best compared to other melee wall breakers, having this ability will definitely be very beneficial. You also do have your personality. It will be brawny. Nimble is not really the best because you do have priority, and you can try and run other stuff, but brawny is really good. Your moveset of choice will be Mega Punch, Telekinetic Sweep as your 2 main stab moves. Brawn Boost will of course be your main move to set up, and you do have some 4th move options. You can run Frost Punch or Quick Punch for your 4th move slot, but Quick Punch is the main reason why you're broken, so I would use Quick Punch. And Power Cuffs will be your main item, which is pretty simple, and I'll be explaining this later. You can of course run Shells or Essences, but right now, because Mutagon does have high energy, Power Cuffs will definitely be the best item on it, and Shells aren't really the best long term because Mutagon can of course sweep teams. And the TPs, 28 energy lets you get up to 305 energy, will let you use 4 or 5 telekinetic sweeps and 1 brawn boost, which is pretty good. With the power cuffs, I'm pretty sure 88 HP is pretty much the leftovers. 184 speed lets you outspeed a 200 speed Borak. If you do want to lower your speed a bit because Borak's not that great to speed tie or outspeed, then of course you can put that into the HP. And of course, maxing out that melee attack stat is pretty good. So that out of the way, let's talk about Mutagon's counters and checks, and of course its teammates. So for offensive quote-unquote counters and checks, you'll basically only have 3 viable options. Cosmere Cracked along with Cosmere Unleashed is good for offensive wise, mainly because they do have enough coverage and power to actually threaten Mutagon out, specifically Cosmere Cracked. Metatoad is less of an option, but I guess you can try running ranged Metatoad with Peace of Mind, or a slap down Metatoad from Mutagon, but it's not really the best. I would use ranged Metatoad. And as for Vesperatu, you do have defensive sets you can run. More bulkier sets for Vesperatu can be a good check to Mutagon. And there are other stuff like Duskit that can be pretty good against Mutagon, but like I said, these are the only viable ones because unlike these guys, Duskit's not really the best in the OU metagame. And as for offensive teammates, they're really simple as well. You do not have to run all of these teammates, specifically Zulong, Wintrix, and Gargolem Speed, but Gobademic is good for Barbs and pretty much anything that can hit the Spirit and Dark types, which is mainly Ancient, Light types, and the Bug types. It's also pretty good. And also you do have Mutagon's best teammate, Eclipse, making a return, mainly because of the immunities that it has and the overall pressure Eclipse can provide. And finally, our defensive teammates. I'm not going to be talking about defensive counters because, like I said, it's an Uber. It doesn't have any. So it does have some good defensive teammates you can try to run. Mutagon is an entity in of itself, so running defensive teammates is not going to be the most optimal thing to build around Mutagon, mainly because Mutagon can work with any defensive core. But if you want to run Barb setters from Mutagon like Wobulus, Seer Knight, and Celesting, there you go. And running pivots like Beijnot and potentially Yursnak and Luminami can make Mutagon's job of switching in a lot more easier. So overall, there's not much to say. Mutagon is still broken. And as for anyone who thinks that Mutagon isn't, well, I would reevaluate your opinion and possibly your life choice. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video and found this video informational. If you do want to do these things, then of course, then you gotta like the video and subscribe. And if you do want to join the Discord and to get notified for future videos, go do that. And of course, remember that Zulong is still a dumpster fire.